Now, the United States is stepping up its push to break China's monopoly on African minerals. This week in Cape Town at the Indaba Mining Conference, Washington is pushing a strategy built on contracts and capital. According to reports ahead of the conference, the US is using offtake deals and state-backed funding to compete with China across Africa's mineral belt. In simple terms, Washington is paying upfront to claim future supply without having any presence on the ground. Reports say 3 countries are now on the US's radar: Zambia, Guinea, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The DRC sits at the center of this fight. It supplies more than 70% of the world's cobalt, and that makes the DRC the choke point for cobalt, and China are already in control of much of that choke point. But the US is trying to change where the supply from those mines ends up through financial leverage, and that includes upfront financing, buyers locked in before production, contracts that redirect minerals into US-aligned supply chains, all without taking on the political and operational risks of running mines in the Congo. Now, that approach is no longer just in theory, as it is already playing out in the DRC. According to industry reports, the Congo's state-owned miner, Geopolitics, has planned to sell around 100,000 tons of copper to US buyers this year. For more than a decade, most of the Congolese copper and cobalt has flown straight to China for refining, and for the first time, that supply route is being challenged. Washington is now backing this mineral push with new trade rules. Last week, the US Vice President J.D. Vance has announced plans for a new trade grouping that is focused on critical minerals. The goal is to use price floors and tariffs to stop subsidized minerals from flooding the market. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, says that 55 countries have joined the talks, including the Democratic Republic of Congo. US officials say that the aim is simple: make mining and processing outside China economically viable again.
I think there's a growing global recognition that we need to have supply chains for critical minerals that are reliable and diverse across the world. Some countries have a number of critical minerals that they have available to them in terms of mining, but just haven't been able to do it because a foreign competitor will come in. They'll gut the price, they'll undercut it through state subsidies and unfair practices, and so it becomes economically unviable to be able to explore for critical minerals.
However, China is pushing back to these new rules. Speaking in Beijing, the Foreign Ministry warned against what it called trade rules written by small groups of countries. The comments came just days after Washington unveiled its new minerals bloc.
Maintaining an open, inclusive, and mutually beneficial international trade environment is in the common interest of all countries, and all parties have a responsibility to play a constructive role in safeguarding the stability and security of the global supply chain for critical minerals. At the same time, we oppose any country using small circle rules to undermine the international economic and trade order.
For now, China still holds the upper hand. Chinese firms own many of Congo's largest copper and cobalt assets. Most of the minerals are processed inside China. Chinese firms also control key transport routes, moving minerals out of Congo. But this US minerals push comes with a contradiction. Zambia, Guinea, and the Democratic Republic of Congo are now facing tighter US travel restrictions and added visa requirements. The same countries Washington is courting for critical minerals are facing tougher barriers for their citizens entering the United States. The US has not publicly linked the two policies, but the overlap is hard to ignore. As the Indaba continues, both sides are pressing for deals. For now, China controls the ground. The US is trying to buy access. The question is, can new US contracts break decades of Chinese control on Africa's minerals?
Power doesn't end quietly. Some deaths are not accidents. They are messages. A gunshot, A crowd. A country frozen. The killer disappears. The questions don't. This is not just about who died. It's about what followed. Governments fell. Armies moved. History rewrote itself. 5 leaders. 5 moments. One pattern. The assassination.